Kia ora, talofa, malolale. My name is Catherine Sears and I am an RTLB out of Cluster 13. One of the things I'd like to introduce you to is my handy kit that goes everywhere with me, and that is my spelling blocks. This is from Brann, Building Blocks for Literacy. Now, as you can see inside the box, there are coloured blocks, these blocks and these ones. Now, Barbara in her scheme uses these for short vowels, and the students I've worked with have adapted this slightly, but they also use these for, you guessed it, full stop. This is a strategy that can be utilised for any child that's struggling with writing and needs to have something that is concrete rather than abstract. And when you think about writing, it is abstract. A lot of the thinking and consideration happens up in the head, so it can't be seen until it's written down on a piece of paper. So like any good writing session, it needs to have a really rich conversation first to discuss what they're going to write about. So on the weekend, I went to the beach in Opotiki with my daughters. Now, one daughter happens to love the water, and I needed to say to her, please do not get wet. As you can see, that was not followed. This example is she's absolutely soaking wet, top to bottom. And this is what I'm going to write about, as if I was a student, and I'm going to be playing both roles, teacher and student in this case. So I want to start with on the weekend. On the weekend. Now, one of the things you may notice is that there's finger spaces between these blocks, and that's great to indicate to the children, look, finger spaces, just like your words, and that's a visual reminder for them. On the weekend, it was cold. Now, as you can see through this sentence, there are no blocks repeated because no words were repeated. So I would be looking for, if they used the word the twice, I'd be making sure that that block was the same colour. And I need a full stop. And one of the students that I'm working with at the moment has adapted this, and he's put that block there as a reminder, oh, I've got to make that a capital letter. So I'm going to start writing. Now, I've come to weekend and I'm stuck. That's a word I don't know how to spell, and my teacher may need to guide me at this point, or my teacher aide. So, how would weekend be used with these spelling blocks? So this is what you'd do. Just caught myself. Okay, so if you can see here, the blocks are now touching each other, so they've now become letters. Week end. Now, very quickly, children gasp, oh, that might be a double letter, and because it's the same colour, that means it's both. If I work out that, I've got the sound, but not only that, I've got it there as well. So, week end. The other thing I do use is just to point out, I use white and green for vowels. Okay, so weekend. I'm going to have a go at writing that. I'm thinking about it. Oh, it's got week. It's E sound. Week. End. And I would carry on writing my story. So on the weekend, it was cold. Okay. And now I've come to cold. Now I'm not sure if it's a K or a C, but my teacher may come along and help me. So there we go. Cold. And I'll sound out each part. Now, one thing as a teacher, which is great, is you start to give the children a scaffold to know if you work out cold and they write it here, you say to them, that's great. Now that you've got cold, I just want to give you some tips to other writing you may use, which is replace the cold and it became B. Bold. Great. So now you know how to write bold. And not only that, you know how to write old. So you're scaffolding the rhyme in this writing as well. And I often do that with my big books as well. So I have these with blue tack so they can stick up on the whiteboard, and I can use those as a way of scaffolding rhyme as well. So if you hear, I'm now up to the word, I haven't told you my story, I'm sorry, but the rest of my story is I asked my daughter to stay dry. So the word here that I'm stuck on is asked. And I can see that it's got a blend of sorts in here. Ask. So there's two sounds together. And the ED, I always use ED as try and get the child to get as many chunks as possible in words. Okay. Now the teacher might be generous and give me the word daughter, but now I'm up to the word stay. And again, it's an opportunity where a blend can be represented. Okay. Stay. And again, it's an opportunity to increase their words by knowing, if I know stay, I know day, I know away, and you can increase that like that. So away would be represented like that. Away. But I've got stay, and then I'd write that. So that's my brief introduction to how I use spelling blocks, and it makes an amazing difference to students to have their planning out there concrete, tactile. So it's that multi-sensory way approach to learning. And for children with who've FASD, so fetal alcohol, or have children who've had brain injuries, it really works on giving them an opportunity to plan their work in the concrete. So it's that executive function that's assisted during this kind of activity. And I have one child who was exposed to methamphetamines in utero and alcohol. And for him, it is the difference between him writing and not, because he can now plan his work. And it helps him to remember what he needs to write.